Okay, so K-pop's global reach, it's exploded, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like not that long ago, K-pop was, very specifically Korean.
Exactly. But the demand, the global appetite, it's really pushing things in some really interesting directions.
Yeah, totally unexpected ways.
So today, we're going to do a deep dive into what's happening right now. We're looking at some new groups, some really unique ones, and trying to get a handle on what all these changes mean for K-pop's future globally.
And we've got some great source material here, news reports, profiles on these groups. What really stands out, I think, is just how much more diverse the whole scene is becoming.
Right.
It's not just Korean artists trying to make it internationally anymore. The actual definition of what a K-pop group is seems to be stretching.
Yeah, like right before our eyes.
We're seeing artists with no Korean background performing K-pop and doing it successfully, and the influence is cropping up in places you wouldn't even expect.
Okay, let's dig into that. Starting with Zgirls and Z-Boys, two groups, female and male. And the really wild part, 0 Korean members. None.
Yeah, not a single one.
But they are completely doing K-pop. The visuals, the glittery makeup, the super synchronized dancing, the flashy outfits. You look at them and you instantly think K-pop.
But here's a key thing, they sing in English.
Entirely in English, yeah.
But their connection to the K-pop system, the infrastructure, is solid. They're trained by Korean professionals, managed by a Korean company, Zenith Media Contents. They've handled other K-pop acts before.
So it really challenges that idea that K-pop has to be in Korean or by Koreans, doesn't it?
It does. Maybe it's becoming more about the model, the idol system itself. Maybe that's the defining thing now, not necessarily the language.
That's a really interesting thought. And their diversity is obviously a big selling point. The members are from all over Asia.
India, Indonesia, Japan, Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam.
Right, all Generation Z, born after 95. And the sources suggest that helps them connect with fans in those home countries.
And it seems to be working. Their music videos get, around 2 million views?
Yeah, something like that. And you see comments online, fans saying how proud they are to see someone from, their country up there doing K-pop.
It really speaks to how borderless the fandom is becoming. People everywhere love the genre. And seeing representation, seeing someone like them, that creates a powerful connection.
Definitely. It wasn't easy for them, though. The articles talk about the challenges stepping into that K-pop training world.
Which is notoriously intense.
Exactly. We hear from members like Vanya, Carlin, Manvin. They'd done some pop stuff back home.
Right.
And they talk about the huge difference going from figuring things out themselves to this super structured Korean system. It covers everything.
It really does. It's not just singing and dancing. It's media training, personality development, even being punctual. Carlin mentioned how systematic it is compared to maybe just focusing on talent back home.
That intensity, that whole package deal, it's kind of the K-pop signature, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it's fascinating to see how these non-Korean members adapt.
And language was another big one. They sing in English mostly, but not everyone was fluent joining up.
And they needed Korean for daily stuff, talking to management.
Yeah, apparently Joanne, the member from Taiwan, she's bilingual, so she ended up being the go-between quite a bit.
That must have been tough.
But they also talk about feeling like a family, finding a community in Korea, which is nice. The company even lets them go home to visit family.
That's important. That camaraderie, that support system, it's crucial in that kind of high-pressure environment. And their concept, One Asia, that's interesting too.
Aiming to connect across the continent.
But they're also getting noticed beyond Asia, Germany, France, Brazil, places like that. It suggests the appeal, the K-pop look and feel, it works even without the language link.
Totally. Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Back to a more, let's say, conventional debut, but with a really interesting backstory. Wrist.
Ah, yes. SM Entertainment's new boy band. 7 members.
Their first in 3 years since aespa. They just dropped their debut album, Get a Guitar. Big showcase in Seoul.
And right out of the gate, the strategy is global expansion, which is classic SM, really.
6 South Korean members, 1 Japanese, ages 19 to 22. And they're calling their music emotional pop.
Yeah, but the timing, the context of this debut is really key.
You mean the whole SM situation?
Exactly. The power struggle with the founder, Lee Soo-min Hybe, trying to take over.
Right, and then Kakao stepping in.
Yeah, the tech giant Kakao, they invested big time, took a major stake. The expectation is that Kakao's money will fuel new music, new groups, Rise is like the first big thing out of that new setup.
So their debut isn't just another debut. It could signal, what, a new direction for SM?
Potentially, yeah. A new era, maybe. It feels symbolic. Even their name, Rise.
Rise and Realize.
It feels very intentional given everything that's happened.
And they've already signed with RCA Records over here.
Under Sony Music. That's huge. That puts them alongside artists like Justin Timberlake, Doja Cat.
Wow. That screams global ambition.
It really does. It shows how K-pop is integrating into the wider global music industry. Plus, it gives them massive resources and reach in the West.
And it's also SM's first big project without Lee Soo-min's direct involvement, right? He got some criticism for having too much control sometimes.
That's true. So yeah, this could definitely mean a shift in SM's creative approach, their sound going forward. It'll be interesting to watch.
For sure. Okay, another group making waves, EVNA.
EVNE, right. 7 members, South Korean group from Jellyfish Entertainment. They debuted last September, 2023, mini album Target, Me.
And their origin is pretty cool. They came out of that survival show, Boys Planet.
Ah, right. They weren't the final chosen group. That was Zero Baseon.
But these guys clearly built up a solid fan base during the show anyway.
Yeah, that's becoming a really common path now, isn't it? Forming groups from popular contestants who just missed the final cut. Those shows build loyalty before they even debut officially.
Makes sense. And their name, EVNA.
Evening's newest étoiles. Stars in French.
Nice. Sort of like shining bright after the show ended.
Exactly. And the fact that fans rallied enough for them to get their own debut, that says a lot about their individual appeal.
And their debut track, Trouble, sounds like they came out strong. Bold concept, tricky choreography, confident sound.
They're being seen as a really promising post-survival show group in the 4th generation of K-pop.
Can you quickly explain what we mean by generations in K-pop?
Sure. It's basically how analysts and fans categorize K-pop history. Each generation, roughly spanning several years, has distinct stylistic trends, industry changes. The 4th gen, starting late 2010s, is often seen as more focused on global reach, maybe more experimental music, lots of online fan interaction.
Gotcha. So EVN fits into that newer wave.
Right. And what's interesting is, even though they were kind of the alternative group from Boys Planet, they've grabbed attention both in Korea and internationally.
So success doesn't always follow the main path.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Fan power is huge. And having Jellyfish Entertainment behind them, an established agency, that helps give them a solid foundation too.
It's really fascinating how many different ways there are to make it in K-pop now. Which brings us to maybe the most surprising example of K-pop going global. BZ.
BZ. Yeah, this is really interesting. They're billed as the first Sri Lankan-based girl group inspired by K-pop.
Debuted December 2022. And again, key point, they aren't Korean.
Nope. But they embrace the whole K-pop idol system. The synchronized dance moves, the visual branding, the social media engagement. It's all there.
It just shows how far that model has traveled.
Totally. They apparently started out doing K-pop covers, which is pretty common for international fans and aspiring groups.
But they moved on to original music.
Yes. And significantly, they released the first original song in Sinhala, their own language, but blending it with K-pop aesthetics.
Wow, Sinhala K-pop, that's a fusion.
It really is. They're basically creating something new. A Sri Lankan idol group based there, performing there, but using that K-pop framework.
We're like pioneers for that kind of talent in Sri Lanka.
Absolutely. And it points to this bigger trend, right? K-pop's massive influence across South Asia.
Yeah, the sources mentioned in India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal.
Huge K-pop boom happening there. You're seeing local groups inspired by K-pop popping up, tons of dance cover groups.
And they're not just copying.
No, that's the exciting part. Many are mixing in their own culture, their languages, traditional sounds, dance styles, creating these unique hybrids. Are there other specific examples of this blending happening in South Asia that the sources mention, like unique sounds emerging?
The sources mainly highlight BZ's Sinhala track as a key example of blending language and K-pop style, and mention the general trend of South Asian artists incorporating local heritage, but don't list other specific groups or sound profiles in detail. It emphasizes the potential and the emergence of this trend more broadly.
Okay, got it. So it's like K-pop offers a blueprint, maybe.
Yeah.
A structure that local artists can then adapt and infuse with their own traditions.
Yeah, exactly. And the fan culture is growing fast too. Events, fan clubs. South Asia is really becoming this new, vibrant center for K-pop creativity. It adds a whole different flavor to the global scene.
It's definitely moving beyond just consumption. It's participation, creation, reshaping the genre from new perspectives.
So looking back at everything we've discussed, the picture is pretty clear. K-pop is changing fast.
Yeah, you've got the literal globalization with groups like Zgirls and Z-Boys.
Then the big Korean companies still launching major players like Rise, but maybe under new circumstances.
And these alternative routes to success like EVNNE coming out of survival shows.
Plus this incredible growth and adaptation in places like South Asia, with groups like BZ leading the charge.
The aha moments for me are...
Sure.
Well, just the sheer diversity now. It's kind of amazing.
Right, and the way cultures are blending, creating new sounds.
And also just reinforcing how much sheer hard work goes into this no matter where you're from. That K-pop dedication is universal.
It really makes you think, about the bigger picture. What does this mean for music globally, for cultural exchange? And what even is K-pop going to mean in, say, 5 or 10 years?
That leads to the big question, doesn't it? As K-pop keeps spreading, as you get more groups that aren't based in Korea or aren't all Korean, does the K in K-pop start to mean something different?
Or maybe become less central?
Exactly. Will the identity shift?
Yeah.
It's definitely something to keep thinking about as we watch this whole thing continue to evolve.